In this tutorial we're going to look at what's called displacement mapping, and really what that means is wrapping an object around another object, and in this case what I want to try and do is wrap this Union Jack here around my face, and it's actually a very simple method. So the first thing I'm going to do, or I have done, as you can see, I've cropped my face. Alright, so there's only grey and white in the background, it's absolutely transparent all the way around it. Alright, so that's the first task. You get the image you want and you crop it. Okay, so I only want to wrap the flag around my face and nothing else. So now I've got this cropped, I've got to do a couple of things to get ready. The first thing I've got to do is I've got to turn this into grayscale, into black and white. But I also want to keep the colour version, so what I'm going to do is copy it. So I'm going to right mouse click on the blue of my layers there, and I'm going to go to duplicate layer and OK, and that's given me two layers, and I'm going to turn the bottom one off, and then I'm going to grayscale this, or desaturate as it's called. And to do that you go to image, adjustment and desaturate, and that takes all the colour away. There we go. Right, now I've got my grey area, I'm going to keep that as well. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate it again, so I've got two grayscales, so OK. Alright, so I right mouse clicked on the blue to do that, and how this works, it pushes, when I put the flag on top of this, it's going to push all the in the darks, it's going to push it away, and all the light areas it's going to bump it up. So what I want to do now with this grey picture is make it very dark and very light. So I'm going to go to image, adjustment and levels. If I can get it, there we go, levels. Okay, image, adjustment and levels, and I'm going to really bring it up dark and really bring it up light in areas, so I've got a very good contrast. Alright, so, and I'm going to OK that. So I've got three faces in my background. I've got the Union Jack, the colour version, the grey version, and now this version here, which is very black and white. Now when I put the flag on top, it will also cause it to be quite jagged, so I'm going to blur this slightly to give it a softer edge. So I'm going to go to filter and blur and Gaussian blur. Whoops, lost it again. Blur, and there we are, Gaussian blur. Alright, and I'm just going to blur it, I don't know, I'm going to blur it, this is really trial and error, so I'm going to do it around about 4 and OK it. So I'm now going to save this. Alright, it's just this image here. I'm going to go File, Save As, okay, and I'm going to call it PQ displacement map. I've already got it saved there, but I'll resave it. Save. Do I want to replace it? Yes, and OK. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this background layer on, which I've got for my map, and I'm going to duplicate that as well. So I'm going to duplicate layer, so I've got two. Okay. So I've now got two of them, and I'm going to click on the blue here, hold down, and drag it up above this layer here. All right. And I'm going to turn that one off underneath. So this is now above everything. There we go. And I want to cut the shape out of this because I only want my face shape. So I'm going to come down to my black and white here, and I'm going to hold Control down and click on the actual picture, not on this area here, on the actual picture. And if I click that, it's selected around the outside. And because I'm on this layer, if I was to hit delete now, that would delete that shape out of the centre of the flag. But I want to do the opposite, so I'm going to go to filter, select rather, and no, what am I going to do? Select and inverse. There we go. Sorry, and that will now, if I hit delete on the keyboard, hit everything but the area of the face inside. There we go. And I'm going to go back to select and deselect. Now the Union Jack is in the shape of my head. And all I have to do now is load the displacement map I saved. So I'm going to go to Filter and Distort and Displace. And this is probably the worst filter box you've got in Adobe Photoshop. There's hardly any information on it. It doesn't really tell you what to do. And so it's trial and error. And I'm going to set it at 20 for horizontal and 20 for the vertical scale. Now really all it means is if it hasn't wrapped round enough, you bump it up to 30 or 40. If it's wrapped it too much, then bring it down to 10 or 5. So I've done this before, and I know this one works reasonably well at 20. And I'm going to OK, and it will ask me then to find my map that I've saved. There it is, and I click on it and open. And you'll watch what happens to the Unijack. You can see it's displaced. It's gone all jaggedy. Now, what I'm going to do now is blend this into the face below. I'm going to turn the blurred one off. Alright, so I'm only looking at this grey one, and I'm going to go to the normal mode there and change the blend mode to overlay. Alright, now also I can see on the edge that it's actually moved. Alright, so I'm going to just go to my move tool here on the left, this top one, and I'm just going to move it back so it lines up. There we go. And if we zoom in, you can see that it's actually bent around the contours of the face. Alright, so that's quite nice there. Yeah, you can see it coming in and bending round. So that's quite successful. The only thing I'm going to do now is bring the opacity down a little bit. Let's just zoom in a little bit, so it gives more of my skin through. Okay, and maybe it's a bit sharp still, so I can blur this layer again. So I'm going to go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. But I'm only going to do it a little bit. I'm not going to do it very much. Just a taste. It's a little minor tweak, really. Just to give it an effect. All right. So there we go. That's how you do it. It's as simple as that. Things I can do now. If I go back to this layer and put my flag back on, it gives me a decent background. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, but I'm going to just play with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the background layer, and I'm going to come down to this menu at the bottom and click this icon here, which is Create New Layer, and that's giving me a layer above it. And I'm going to go to my fill bucket, which is often under the gradient tool, fill bucket there, and I'm going to pick white and fill. And then, still on this layer, I'm going to go to the eraser tool, and I'm going to set my brush by right mouse clicking, and I want to make sure that it's completely soft, no hardness on it at all. And I'm probably going to, on this one, go to the largest size. Alright, and then I'm just going to center it up and click once, and that's deleted it out. Alright, and the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the flag, and I'm going to blur it. So I'm going to go Filter, Blur, and Gaussian Blur. Alright, and I'm going to bump that up so it's, let's have a look. That's probably quite nice and okay. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go Control T, or we can go. Let me go back to my move tool, Edit, Transform, and Scale. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm probably just going to make this a little bit larger, so it doesn't register exactly the same. So something a lot like that, and zoom back in again. And that's it. That's the finished tutorial. Let me just finish that off there. There we go. The great thing is, now I've actually made my displacement map, which I've saved, I could try different things to wrap around my face, but I don't move anything. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to turn the flag off on this area here. I've got to keep my face there, and I'm going to turn the flag off behind and this area that I used. And I've got a barcode here, and let me turn that on. Alright, what I'm going to do is click on this and then duplicate that layer. So I'm going to duplicate it, so I've got two of them, and OK that. And I'm going to bring this layer right up above the top there. Alright, and I'm going to go Control T on the keyboard, or I could go Edit, Transform, and Scale, just so I can change the size of it. And I'm going to turn it around. So if I come outside it, where are we? There we go. It's not letting me do it at the moment for some reason. Let's just recheck that and go Control T again. There we go. Right, so I'm going to turn this about and put it right across my face. Let's do it the other way. Alright, it's getting a bit confusing, so I'm just going to recheck that box and then go back and turn my barcode off of the background. Right, I'm just going to transparent this up so I can see it a little bit better. Right, I'm going to make sure I've got a bit of the new numbers on there, and I'm going to Control T again, and I'm going to size this down so it fits just on top of my head. without losing too much information. That would do, I think. So I'll check it and bring the opacity back up. But again, what I'm going to do is go to this area, hold down Control and click on my head to get the selection, and go to Select Inverse, and then because I'm on this area, on the layout with the barcode, if I hit delete, I get rid of everything outside it. Alright, I'm going to go to Select and Deselect, and then I'm going to go to Filter and Distort and Displace and reload my displacement map. And as you'll see, it should go all crooked. There it is. Alright, so I'm going to change the blend mode again to overlay. Alright, and again it's moved, so I'm just going to move it back up. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit to see how it looks. And bring down my opacity. And this thing works really well with with lines. You can see it going right around the nose, look, right over the nose there. It's very good into the cheeks. So it's very well done. It works really, it's a powerful tool. And again with the background, let me turn the barcode on. And in fact this time I perhaps could turn off my grey picture and put my colour picture in there. And that way it just gives it a bit more oomph. So there we go, that's the displacement mapping. What you need to do now is have a go yourselves.